Hello everyone and welcome to PreciseFP 101, Streamline Data Gathering and Client Engagement. I'm your host Nate Lentz. I am a customer support specialist with PreciseFP. Now just a couple items before we get going here. Everyone is on mute, but if you have any questions at any point during the presentation, please enter those into the GoToWebinar toolbar and we'll circle back with you once the webinar has concluded. Now, getting right into it here, what is PreciseFP? PreciseFP is your secure online data gathering platform and client engagement system. We've been around since 2007 and now have over 20 integrations with leading CRMs, financial planning software, custodians, document storage solutions, calendar apps, the list goes on. But let's get right into the demo portion of our webinar here. So here we are at the PreciseFP dashboard where you've got different at-a-glance information on your prospects, your clients, engagements. You've got an activity log with entries of, templates being customized, engagements being sent to clients and being completed by them, that sort of thing. And navigation through the system here starts on this left-hand toolbar. This PreciseFP logo here in the upper left corner will bring you back to this dashboard here. But moving on down, so we've got your accounts, so your list of clients, and you can sort by prospects, clients, favorites, archived, engagement. So the engagement is the act of sending a template or a form to a client. It's broken up between PDF engagements here and form engagements here. Reporting, so you can generate reports on different data points, pull them from either an engagement or the client's profile and export those reports to Excel. So here are your templates. So you've got your form templates and your PDF templates. And you've got your help center, the knowledge base, and then the settings menu here is the picture in the very bottom left corner. But let's get started in the form template library here, where we have a number of pre-built templates that you can use either out of the box or use them as a starting point to create your own custom template. They're sorted by category here. So you've got your fact finders, lead gens, miscellaneous, policies and agreements, and surveys and polls. We'll start with fact finders, probably the most popular solution. I think nearly every PreciseFP user has some form of fact finder that they're using. And these are the ones where you would gather that, the nitty gritty data, right? Like who's your employer, what retirement plans do you have, assets, liabilities, stuff like that. And the purpose of these templates is for the client to fill out, and then that data gets transferred to their client profile. So let's get one of these installed here. I'm going to click on this one here and install. And that'll bring you to the My Templates section where you can click on it and then click Customize. So we're in the template editor here. You've got quick access to the different pages down the right-hand side. You've got your pages, page details where you can edit details settings on the page here. But across the top here, you have settings for the template as a whole. Template details, you can change the name of it if you want, add a description. This one here, prevent navigation when validation fails. If they skip a mandatory element, it will keep them from progressing to the next page, stuff like that. Here, the template theme. There's quite a few things in here. You can set your different colors. If you have the hex code for the color of your logo, you can put that in and match that logo perfectly. You can set a different theme, and that will kind of change the way the fields look. So if I do same changes on that, you can see the fields kind of change, the fonts kind of change, that sort of thing. You can choose the different fonts, display headers, progress bar, confirmation message, that sort of thing. And all of that is in the template themes. Template emails. So when you create an engagement for the client, if you choose to use the system generated emails, which you don't have to, but you can, You can customize the language in the body text of that email, the subject line, periodic reminders, you can enable those. You can also adjust the interval for how often and for how long those go out. That is in the email section here. Translation. So what that was for, of course, you can translate different buttons to different languages. If you wanted to make the finish button say submit instead of finish, you can do that. Maybe you wanted to say add spouse instead of add co-client, stuff like that is in template translations. You can associate the form template with the PDF. Preview mode will kind of show you what it looks like from the client perspective. Maybe you want to test out your conditional visibility, make sure that's working. You can do that in preview. So settings for the template as a whole. And now settings for the page here. Moving on down, we're on the personal details page right here. There's a setting I want to point out, display co-client area or button. We have that enabled here. And I'm going to go into preview mode to show you what that looks like. So when we navigate to that page in preview mode, you'll see we've got all the fields on that page. It'll say the client's name here when it's an actual engagement. And at the bottom, there's the, I changed it to add spouse, but the add co-client button. If there's a co-client on the account, this kicks in automatically, but the client can also add information on their spouse or their co-client. It basically creates a copy of each element on that page, but now the system knows that from here down, all this information belongs to the co-client. It's important for integrations and distinguishing who's who. So that again is a setting on the page level. There's also settings here on individual groups. So here on this page here, the employment and income page, we're on the employment group and we've got the add more button enabled. So if the client has multiple jobs, they can click that add more button and then enter the information on their second child or second job, you know, whatever the situation is, second account, loan, whatever. And then there's settings for the elements themselves. You can toggle any input element mandatory. Here it shows you the connection. So this connection, again, is very important. It's basically telling you where in the client profile does this information go. And you need that information in the client profile because that client profile is what you're going to be exporting to your CRM, financial planning software. You can also export the client profile to PDF, XLS, CSV as well. Now, I mentioned templates being customizable. If you wanted to go through, you can add elements to it here, and I'll show you some different element types you can utilize. Maybe there's some fields you don't need. You can go ahead and remove it. If you want to add one, there's different element types you can use. So text field for, you know, entering names, things like that. Text area field, the difference between these two is the character limit. Text area field resembles the comment box, right? If you need them to type in a whole paragraph, use this one. If you just need a name, something short, use that one. Inputs for numbers, currency, you can create your own drop downs, multiple option checkbox elements, more inputs for different things, enter dates, etc. It can run calculations, maybe total up net worth or risk tolerance score, stuff like that. Document and image upload if you need the client to send you a scan of their driver's license, a pay stub, statement, you know, whatever the case is. E-signature. So that's our own PreciseFP e-signature element, which you can add to any high security template that you wish. Basically, self-explanatory, lets the client sign. Very popular use in the, you know, the service agreements, things like that. So input elements up here are meant for the client to provide information to the advisor, whereas graphical elements here are designed to convey information to the client, whether it's a paragraph of text with some instructions, what to expect in this form, want to display an image, or if the client needs to download a document from you, ADV, for example, privacy policy, those sorts of things. You can have them view a PDF, you know, if you just need them to read it, stuff like that. Your logo, you can embed a video button element. If the client clicks it, it'll send them to a URL that you designate when you create the element. badge to display a value, advisor signature to display, the advisor's signature. Calendar app, you can pull your calendar into the template if you're using Calendly, Schedule One, Acuity Scheduling, or ZenCal are the 4 that we integrate with. And those are placed inside the template. So those are different element types that you can utilize. And you'll notice again here, like I was talking earlier about the connection. So we can tell these elements are connected to the client profile by this chain link icon here. Now these templates are customizable, but so is the client profile. If I wanted to add custom fields to the client profile, I can do that via the data set. Data set is very important here. Say for example, here I'll show you some examples of some things that I've added custom in the client details page, and then on the contact details group, I added a few more custom elements here, mailing address, stuff like that. Liabilities page, I went into the credit cards group here and added fields for what's the minimum payment, what's the actual monthly payment, is there a no interest period on this card, stuff like that. Now adding these elements will now to the data set will cause them to appear in all of your client profiles. So here I'll go into the sample client profile here. So now those fields that I've added to the data set are now available to store data. But now here's a good example of a custom group, this credit cards group. I want the client to be able to fill this out. So I do need that in my template. So the client never interacts with their profile, it's just the template here. So I do want to make sure I bring that group into my template. Liabilities page here, we've got the pre-built credit card group, but I want my custom one that I created. I'm going to just go ahead and remove this, and I'm going to replace it with my custom group. So I'm going to add new group here at the bottom of the page and import a group from the data set. So I'll do a search here for the credit cards group. And now here it's created each element in that group, and as you can see, they are now connected to the data set. Which brings up a good point here. When you're adding custom fields to your forms and you want that data stored in the client profile, I always recommend adding those custom fields to the data set first, and then you can import them into your template. You can import a whole connected page. You can import a custom group like I've done here, and you can also import individual elements. So to add an element, you basically create this empty cell, new element, and then here you can see I can import or create one from scratch. So we've looked a little bit at customizing templates. Let's also take a quick look at sending this template to a client. So here I'm going to send David and Mary sample, my fact finder. So I'm going to engage them with a form. We'll send this one that I was working on here. So here, review and create is where you decide who the primary contact's going to be. If you want to add a secondary contact to the engagement, you can. This mostly comes in handy when they need to sign them. I don't necessarily do it for a fact finder because they can always fill it out together. But you can also choose the authentication method. So I want to take a minute just to talk about authentication. Here you see 3 different methods. So you've got password, SMS, and email only. These 2 here. So password authentication is the default authentication method. Basically, when the client opens a high security engagement you've sent them, with password authentication, it will send a PIN via text to their cell phone. And then when they verify that PIN, it prompts them to create a password. From that point forward, they'll just use that password on any engagements that are sent to password authentication. SMS authentication, similar, it sends the PIN via text to their cell phone, but it doesn't prompt them to create a password. It's just 2-factor authentication each time. So now with that all being said, you do want to make sure that you do have the client's cell number in the mobile phone field of their client profile, so the system knows where that text message needs to go. So that's important for those 2 authentication methods. This other one, email. If you don't have their cell, it'll send the PIN to their email, and when they verify that PIN, it prompts them to, it opens the engagement. So no password for email either. Now here, create engagement, and if I choose review edit first, it will give the advisor an opportunity to fill in the engagement before they get into it, and then the information that you've entered will be there. Send immediately just basically creates the engagement and sends it to the client. Let's do review edit first, because I want to show you here too. The client will get that new engagement email that the system generates. I'm just going to close out of this because I don't need to pre-fill it. But if you don't want to use the system generated emails, you can do review and edit and then just send them this link. If you choose send immediately, they automatically get the system generated email, or else also if you hit this send button, they'll get the system generated email too. So I'm going to send that to myself here just so I can show you what that new engagement email looks like. So let me go get my Gmail. Show you. All right, so here is the new engagement email. The color of the button to access the engagement matches what I set in my template themes. Here's the customizable body of the email. I can also add my disclaimer here if I'd like. It's pulling in the logo and firm name. So let me show you. You would upload your logo to the Teams section of the settings, put your logo here in the email settings section, put your firm name here, and then that's what pulls in here and here. This engagement is set to password authentication. So here it's going to say, please, send me the PIN to my mobile phone. So I'm going to click that. You get a text message here. Okay, enter my PIN. Enter that. Now let's create a password. And it's going to require them to create a strong password based on I think that's a Google algorithm. All right, they match. Let's create. So now it's going to bring me into that engagement. And what you'll notice is that since this is a high security template and the elements are connected, information that we already know that is stored in the client profile is pulling into the form. So they can, if you've already got a good bit of information on them, a lot of this could be filled out, or they can just review it. Please take a moment to review our records and update us if anything has changed. It makes it really easy to do that because it automatically pulls that info in. But it does pull information in from the PreciseFP client profile. But if I wanted, I could import data from a CRM, financial planning software. That way it will be in the fact finder when they get it. But so the client can click through here. You see the progress bar. I don't think I made any elements mandatory on this one, so I'm just going to click through. And then when I click finish or submit at the end, it'll show the thank you page. But let's go back to our PreciseFP here. I'm getting notifications that the client completed the engagement. So I'll go to my engagement screen, and under form engagements, I'm going to click all. Now here's that engagement that was completed just now. You've got a status column here. Not started, in progress, and completed. If it's in progress, those periodic reminders will go out if you have them enabled. And the client can get in and out of it as they need to. If they want, they can close out, pick it up later, pick up from where they left off. But if it's in completed status, they won't be able to access it again. But you'll get a notification if they do try to do that, or if they contact you and say, hey, oops, I uploaded the wrong pay stub or something like that, right? You can come in here and reopen it for them. Now here again is the link. If I want to send that out, instead of using the system generated emails, I can resend the system generated email if I want. Here I also have a view button to see where they're at. If I want to see the actual form that they're working on, I can do that here. I can also download all of the documents that the client has uploaded to that engagement. And now here's the thing too here. Let me do another one. Click on this one. So notice this one's not started. And we were talking earlier about the authentication, the password or email or SMS. If I created one and I want to change the authentication method, I can do that by clicking on this little square right here. So if I put it to password authentication, but if I don't have their cell number, I can go ahead and change it to email. That's only if they have not accessed it yet. So lots of handy information here on this engagement screen. Can check the boxes here. If I need to remove it or reopen, I can do that here. But so we've looked at fact finders, we've looked at engaging our clients. Really, fact finders are the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the solutions that are available with PreciseFP. So let's go take a look at some of these other things here. Lead generation. So let's say I have a template that I want to send out maybe on social media or have a link to it, because before, you'll notice when we engaged our client, we went to all accounts, our list of clients, clicked on them, and then the engage button. When you're doing stuff like lead generation, obviously they're not going to be in my list of clients yet. So what I can do is I can web publish my template. Getting a little ahead here, so let's actually take a look at some of these as an example here. Financial consultation, super easy, 2 pages. First, who are you? When can I reach out? Give me some information, and then just the thank you page. That's a financial consultation one. 5 steps to early retirement. Fill in your information. Notice these are all mandatory, so they can't go to the next page without filling those in. But then when they do, there's a document download element here where they can download the handy, helpful article. You can replace the article with your own stuff. You can use what it comes with. It's up to you. But yeah, so there's different ones here that you can use, and you can create your own too, customize these, whatever you want to do. But then, yeah, so you would web publish your template. So let's see, let's select the template I want to web publish. See if there's, here we go, sure, tax filing, okay. So then you choose how to publish it. So URL, so I can publish it as a link. Now here's the link I can take and embed in my website or my email signature, and when someone clicks on that, it automatically creates an engagement for them, opens it up with this template. So that's a URL. There are other options here. Let's just choose, yeah, portfolio review. So you've got HTML link. You can also web publish as a button, and then choose how that opens, and then save those changes. And now here's the code that you would use to have that button appear on your website. Sometimes you can make a button with a URL, but other times here you can do it this way. It's up to you, depending on what what platform you're using to build the website. But yeah, so you can web publish any template here. I even published a high security one. It just makes perfect sense when doing it for lead gen, right? And you will get notifications when someone completes these, just like you would for the other ones. I'll actually just quickly show you the notification section, so you can toggle these on or off. And then here, when a client completes an engagement, you'll get that notification. And now here, back to the form library, lead gen. Let's look at policies and agreements. So we've got the investment policy statement, the client service agreement. These will both include the PreciseFP e-signature element by default. I'll show you a service agreement example here. Customize this. So when you've got a service agreement, it's basically just a series of text box elements, right? So you can just take even the pre-built one and replace the language in it with your own. Text box element is right here. It just allows free type and the client just reads it. The e-signature elements, I've got some down at the bottom here where you're designating who signs it. Allow the input methods. Do I want them to draw it with their mouse or finger on a touch screen, or will I let them type it in that, that cursive font? Certification, with that enabled, it basically generates a report of who signed, timestamp, their mobile number, and then the IP address of where they signed from to kind of further certify that signature. I've got them toggled as mandatory here in this case. You'll notice also the co-client signature element is mandatory. The thing about that is if there is a co-client on the account, it counts it as mandatory, but if there's not, it actually doesn't count as mandatory. So that's pretty handy. And then I've added a couple bells and whistles to this. I put in document download elements for the client to download my ADV. I got a checkbox to confirm we received it. And then in it, I took some signature elements and just labeled them initials for the client to initial off that they received it. And you can do that. I've done it here in this example on the service agreement. You could even make, a template that is just for this if you wanted. Really, you're only limited by your creativity here. So there's a lot of different things you can do with form templates. Another very popular is our risk tolerance. I want to show you that in preview mode, but also in the editor so I can show you how it works too. So it's basically just this 13 question little survey. Questions are meant to be very understandable and relatable by your average client, pop a couple answers in here. It's a scientifically validated and tested survey. We quote our source for it right here. And then when they click finish, it generates a score for them based on their answers on a scale of 0 to 100, where a low score would indicate, this person is adverse to taking financial risk, or very high would mean that they're very comfortable accepting financial risk. Let's see, you've got 5 different buckets here: very low, low, moderate, high, very high. Keep that in mind. I'll correlate that to the IPS here in a bit, but I want to show you in the editor how this works. So the risk tolerance, it's a series of multiple option elements. When you go into element details on that, the title here is the question that you're asking. And then you've got allowed values. And this is a customizable template. We could add stuff to this if we wanted. I wouldn't do it here, mess with the algorithm, but because in the advanced editor, each response has a numeric value associated with it. And then down here, we've got a calculated element totaling up the scores for their answer to each question. And then at the end, a badge element set to display that score. Here we have it set to show the value from their score. So that's how it works. I do see users who, create their own risk tolerance. I've seen people, I saw this risk tolerance thing somewhere that I liked. Can I rebuild it in here? You absolutely can, as long as you know how much each answer, as long as you have the scoring for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's the risk tolerance. And then I mentioned those 5 buckets, the low, very low, low to very high. So that's kind of related to the pre-built IPS. You'll notice on here, I'll just quick jump to the investment policy page. There are investment models and there's 5 of them. So very low, low, medium, high, very high. So you can kind of relate them on the IPS. And I want to show you also, here, let's just pick one, aggressive balanced. I think that client scored a 70, so let's choose investment model, aggressive balance for them. Now, through conditional visibility, a breakdown of that aggressive balanced model appears, and it's based on this element. So if I choose aggressive, it shows aggressive. That is what we call conditional visibility. So here, let me find a good example of a template to use to show you how conditional visibility works. Here, let's use the quick fact finder. In preview, this one is very popular. A lot of people like this one. So family members, do you have children? Yes, I do. Okay, now this section appears. No, I don't. That section stays invisible. Or assets, what assets do you have? Okay, I have a bank account, I have some CDs, and then some other stuff. And then just those sections appear. So they're not having to skip over these large sections of form that don't apply to them. They're just checking off what they have, and the sections are appearing through conditional visibility. I'm going to show you how to apply that real quick. So let's go to that assets page. So this one here, which type of assets do you have? That is what I'm going to call our trigger element. Now you're applying the actual conditional visibility to the thing that is going to appear when the trigger is satisfied. So in this case, if they check bank accounts, they see this group. So in group details here, I'm going to configure the visibility, visible only when, and here's where I choose my trigger element, in this case, which asset types, and it only appears when that element equals bank accounts. And here I'm going to show allowed values. You've got the label column, which is what the eye sees when they look at this, and then the value column, which is what the system sees here. So you want to make sure when you're applying conditional visibility that you match this value column exactly, because you'll notice here it's case sensitive. So here lowercase b, lowercase a, and there's no space. So I wanted to make sure I have that exactly in this thing. Let me actually add, I'm going to import from the data set. I'm going to bring in the employment and income page and show you another application of conditional visibility. So I'm going to go here. Let's add a new group to this page. I'll just title the group. I'm going to disable the header so that's not visible anyway. We'll create that. I'm going to drag this up to the top here. All right, and then I'm going to add a new trigger element to this and put some conditional visibility on this page. So I'm going to add a multiple option element. I'm going to go, please specify you are. All right, so there's my title. This is going to be multiple option. I'm going to put employed, self-employed. Then I'm going to skip unemployed and homemaker and all that stuff. I'm just going to do 3 here, just to make this a little bit easier. But I'm going to go in the advanced editor because I want this employment group to show if they choose either one of these two options. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change these values just to numeric. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to save that. So I'm going to apply conditional visibility to this employment group here and configure, choose my trigger element. And then I want this group to show when that value is less than or equal to 2. And I'm going to save that. So let's go into preview mode, make sure I did it right. It's always a chance. All right, so I'm going to go employed. All right, great. That employment section appeared. Let's uncheck that. Self-employed. Okay, great. That employment section appeared. Retired. That section did not appear. So you can apply conditional visibility when they choose one of two options with that that trick of using numeric values. So it's pretty handy for that too. We saw it in the risk tolerance where they had numeric values, but this application is a different application of the same sort of principle. So that's how you would apply conditional visibility in a form template. Let's go back to the form library and make sure I'm not skipping anything. We looked at a lot of stuff here. So let's see, what do we got in other? So we got the budget worksheet, meeting checklist, and this is all customizable. You can make whatever you want here. Surveys and polls, we got a satisfaction survey, the onboarding questionnaire, a bit of a light touch for prospects, rather than saying, what's your social security number and how much money do you have? We got a little more general stuff. We don't want to scare them away on the first day. You know what I mean? And you can customize this too. If you want to change all these amounts, you can. So those are the form templates. Let's switch over to PDF. So let's go to the PDF library. So here's where you have your custodial stuff. Categories here are Schwab, Other, SSG Pershing, and TD Ameritrade. Let's look at the SSG ones and Pershing ones. So these are the actual custodial PDFs with the fillable fields on them. And what we did was we mapped the fillable fields to the client profile so that when we create an engagement with one of these, information that we already know is going to populate in these fields. So we're not having to go type first name, hit tab, type middle initial, hit tab, type last name, hit tab. It's all just going to pull in. So here, I'll show you pretty much how to create an engagement with one of these. So instead of engaging with a form, I'm going to engage with a PDF. And in a PDF engagement, you can add up to 5 PDFs in one. So let's do SSG account opening and account transfer. I'm not sure if that makes sense to do those two together, but let's do it. All right, so here we're choosing here, account owner 1 is going to be David Sample, the client, account owner 2, co-client, trusted contact, let's also make the co-client. And then for this one, it's going to be the client as our account transfer. So we'll hit continue. Why don't we change this? I've got the same email address listed in here. That's going to give me an error. So let's just change this to none. We're not going to have a co-client on that one. So let's hit continue. Now here it's pulling in information from the client profile. Here it's pulling in, I don't have a ton of information in the profile for these, but here we can see some stuff is pulling in. The advisor can go through and check off the rest. You know, I don't know what a lot of this stuff means, but let's check some boxes here. But yeah, so you fill these out and then send them to the client for signature. And there's different, so SSG approved the PreciseFP e-signing process, whereas TD and Schwab do require DocuSign. TD provides DocuSign, so for them, super easy. You just use the credentials for that DocuSign they provide when you're enabling the integration. Schwab is a little bit different. They'll let you use your own DocuSign, but you do have to get their permission first. I guess there's some settings that they want to make sure you have enabled before you go using it. But if you don't want to do all that, you can either, here we've got an export to the Schwab Advisor Center, or you can just use this as a means to quickly fill in the form, download it, and then send it to their portal, whatever they call it. So you can also create your own PDF templates and map the fields to the client profile as well. So you can do, maybe you got broker dealer stuff that you need on specific PDFs. So PDFs, they get filled in by the advisor or pre-populated from the client profile, and then they only go to the client for signature. So if you need to fill up that client profile, use a form template for that, because those are the ones the client fills out. So we did look at integrations. Let's look at some of those here. We've got CRMs, different financial planning systems, some document storage. So the document ones, when they upload the statements, the pay stubs, stuff like that, it'll automatically go over to the your document storage solution when that integration is enabled. Salesforce here, we integrate with 5 different versions of it. And now some of these integrations are actually customizable. Let's use Redtail as our example for that. So I'm going to go in and customize my Redtail integration. So now down this column on the left here is the field in Redtail. Down this column here is the field in PreciseFP. So it's going to show you what maps to where. But also, here's an Add New button right here. So this field dropdown is actually checking Redtail for different UDFs or user-defined fields that we can include in our map. So let's pick something. Let's go boring and choose height. All right, maybe height is something you use for one reason or another. So I'm going to go to my data set and make sure I have a field for height. Doesn't look like I do, not a big deal. I'll just make it. So let's make a height field for our data set. Let's just do text input for that one. They can just type it in. Create. Now, I added it to my data set. First, of course, we added that to all our client profiles now, so we can go see how tall our clients are just by clicking on the profile. I can import it into a template. Maybe on my fact finder, I want them to enter that. So I'm going to go import from the data set, and let's type height. There, now it's in the form for the client to fill out. It's connected, that's good. Now let's go to our integrations, open Redtail. So I'm going to go ahead and add new. Let's just type it. height. Here's height in Redtail. Here's height in PreciseFP. Save those changes. And now we've added a data point to our integration. My understanding of Redtail is you can create custom UDFs in Redtail. You can create custom data set elements in PreciseFP. With this mapper here, you can connect those custom fields together. Pretty sweet. So integrations, we looked at notifications. Let's look at pipelines. So pipelines is where you would set up your automated workflows. So we've got pipeline for client accounts, pipeline for prospect accounts. Now here, so it's if then. So here I've got my financial consultation. It's a lead gen. I post the link to Twitter, you know, whatever. If someone goes and completes that, when they're done, it automatically engages them with the onboarding questionnaire. I can add another one here, maybe when that onboarding questionnaire is created. Do I have on? Yep. Okay, sweet. Let's send them also the risk tolerance. So you can set up automated workflows in here. Pretty handy to get, you know, your documents sent to your clients. And you can see the stage they're in too. So if I go to my clients here, I can see that they are in the invest stage. You can rename them if you want, or you can change what stage they're in, you know, stuff like that. So that is pipelines. Data quality. Oh, before I click too fast here, you'll notice this column here, 97%, 47%. It's basically a measure of how much information you have in this client profile. And you can set weights on the different data points. Maybe it's really important that we get a prospect's birthday, so we could click on data quality here. Let's go to the prospect ones. Really need to make sure we get their birthday. Let's crank that up. That's gonna impact that percentage we saw on that column. And you can also use that percentage in your pipelines. So maybe when they just get switched to a client, like here, I already did the example, but if their data quality is lower than 50, let's automatically send them a fact finder, kind of pump up those numbers. So you can use data quality in pipelines too. What else we got? We looked at teams. So each user belongs to a team. So I've got two teams here. I've got team A, team B. Users who belong to team A cannot see the clients that belong to team B. So teams are a way to separate clients if you need to do that between your users. If everyone's sharing the same list of clients, you only need one team, you're good. Each user will have a role. So here I've got my admin user. Here I've got a role I assign to them manager, assistant advisor, team lead manager. Doesn't necessarily have to match their title within the company, but rather it's the set of permissions that you're giving them. Manager role is unique actually in that they can be assigned to multiple teams. But that's basically what it's for, it's just for permissions. And then the admin user has all access to edit some of the stuff we've been looking at, like that customizable Redtail integration, data set, data quality, pipelines. All of that is admin only stuff. And there's only one admin per account. User profile is where you would put your advisor information, and teams is where you would put your company information. All right, so let's take a look at pricing. So it's a month-to-month automatic billing cycle, cancel anytime. Base cost is the $69 a month. It's the sum of these three, so it comes with one of each of these, one user, your team, and then 100 account profiles. Each additional user after the first is an additional an additional $34 a month. If you need multiple teams to separate clients by user, additional team is $23 a month. And then so client accounts are billed in packages of 100, where the first 100 are included in the 69, and then each package of 100 after the first is an additional $12 a month. And then when I say client accounts here, I've got David and Mary sample client, co-client. These two together count as one, so think of them as households. We also, so as far as support, so this green circle in the bottom right corner is our live chat. We monitor that very closely Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 Eastern. We respond to you right away. We take pride in that. You're not going to have to sit and talk to a bot for 10 minutes and then wait 24 hours for an answer. We reply back right away. So don't hesitate to reach out to us there if you have any questions. We do offer a free trial. So right here, PreciseFP.com, get started. I do reach out to all new users to offer a one-on-one learning session over Zoom. I offer one of those at the beginning of the trial and then another at the end of the trial. So we want to make sure we get all your questions answered. You might have seen our webinars page when you're registered for this. We're always doing webinars on different topics. And we keep them recorded on our YouTube channel, so you can view them there. And yeah, that pretty much covers our PreciseFP 101 for today. If you have any questions, please go ahead and enter those into the GoToWebinar toolbar here, and we'll circle back with you with an answer. But thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your day.